11th demo for the day will be the entire Pangaea team, who's going to tell us a little bit about the game they're making. So I'll hand it over to you, Joe, and you can take it away.
Thank you, Neil. Pleasure to be here. We are Pangaea, and we are a game studio. More specifically, we're a game studio focused on building brand new, amazing multiplayer experiences in interactivity. Our first game that we're going to be releasing is Project Rise. It's a game we've been working on. It is the ultimate dungeon extraction game. Project Rise is a player versus environment game. You could think of it as something like a Fortnite. But we're pushing the boundaries on interactivity and experience. It's player-influenced, procedurally generated dungeons, first of its kind monster mode, and Hunger Games-esque streamer interactivity is something that pushes the boundaries on new gameplay and interactivity. But rather than talk to you about it, I'd like to invite Starlong, our executive producer, and Chris behind the keys, who will be showing you a demo of that game.
Thanks, Joe. So Chris is going to be showing you a bunch of stuff while I yabber at you here on stage. So the main thing that players want, or anybody who consumes entertainment, is once they find something they love, they want more of it. They want more content. But content is expensive. So you have two answers to that problem. You can throw people at the problem, and that's expensive. Or you can throw technology at it, which is what we're choosing to do. So we are making procedurally generated content. So what Chris is going to do while I'm talking at you is he's going to make lots and lots of dungeons. So he's going to click and he's going to make a dungeon. And so what that does for us is we can make every time the players have to escape the dungeon, it's a different dungeon every time. There's different rooms, there's different levels, there's different hallways. And so this answers that question and that need that people who are playing this game, it's like, it's different every time. It's a surprise, and it's surprise and delight every time. And if you ask players who are playing Fortnite, the number one thing they want is, I wish I had more maps. And the Fortnite team, it takes them months, about 6 months to make a new map. We can make a new map instantly using procedural generation. And what we can do as well is we can use machine learning to help us catch errors like don't stack rooms inside of each other and learn from what players like and what's their favorite thing. Not only that, players get to interact with how that generation happens. So those numbers that you see in the upper left, players, when they win a level, they get a little collectible that influences how that procedural generation happens. So that collectible could be what kinds of traps are put in the map, or what kind of monsters, or is there lava in the map or not? You know, Floor's Lava, everyone's favorite game as a kid. They get to influence how that happens. So not only are we randomly generating the content, players are influencing how that random generation happens. Now, Chris is running around the map as a human right now, but one of the things that also happens in these games is they're very competitive, and you might get knocked out really quickly. And anybody who plays these games like Call of Duty or Fortnite and plays them with your nieces and nephews or your kids, you probably get killed very quickly, and then you don't get to do anything for a little while. Well, what we have a solve for that too is you get to play in monster mode. So you get to come back as, say, a rat and go around and nibble at the heels. And so now Chris is running around as a rat, and you have the little beady eyes, so the camera's sort of fish-eyed out, and you're very low to the ground. Or you can play as a gelatinous cube. That's the big blob of Jell-O, and so now the camera's very globby and shaking around. Or you can play as a ghost, which is like Wrath-like, and again, generating content. And the other thing we can do is we can use language models to add narrative, because one of the ironies of all this artificial life and generated content that we're making is all this procedurally generated content we're making can sometimes feel very lifeless. So we have to fill it with life. And what we can do is, one of the things we have this language model do for us is give us content. So what happened to me the other day when we were playing, Chris?
Let's see.
Oh, demo gods.
There once was a wizard named Star, whose staff could conjure from afar, but a disease struck him dead. Now his powers have fled. No magic can save him, Tartar.
So what we did was, we just told we just gave it our language model some prompts that said, hey, what happens in these fights? Take the character's classes. I was a wizard, and whatever killed him, make a limerick about it. So, and then use voice generation to narrate and taunt the players as the evil dungeon master. So we didn't need a writer, we didn't need the voice actors, and again, we can generate and fill this, it's playing the role of the evil dungeon master taunting the players as they're trying to escape the dungeon that's killing them. And we can and again, didn't need a writer, didn't need the voiceover actors, and we can, I think we were going to make one of various people. If you want to see us later, we can make a limerick about you as well and taunt you. And then finally, one of the favorite features we're excited about that Joe was mentioning is our Hunger Games. So as you're escaping the dungeons, and
there once was a wizard named Star whose staff could conjure from afar, but a disease struck him dead. Now his powers have fled. No magic can save him. Ta-ta.
Is this Hunger Game? So you think you've escaped the dungeon? Well, the streamers who are watching voted to add a secret room at the top of the dungeon, so now there's whole nother level that you have to finish, or they added a second boss to the level. And so the streamers are actually voting on adding content as you're watching that makes the levels harder or even easier. They could drop extra loot in, drop extra lives, drop extra weapons, so they're interacting Hunger Game style with the game as it's happening. So, lots of cool, innovative features. We're optimizing.
In the realm of dungeons, fierce and vast, there was a player named Joe and surpassed. His axe swung with such mighty might, but alas, a rat
So we're
turned out his
optimizing
light.
how we're
Farewell,
generating
barbarian,
content
brave and bold,
through
by rats
language
bite.
models,
Your story is
through
told.
AI, through
Your axe
procedural
so
generation.
cherished, now laid to rest, a victory for vermin.
He's very chatty.
That's the least.
All right,
Well,
Joe, you're on.
Thank you. So as you can see, we're really trying to create a new type of experience for players. And a lot of these tools, actually, like the streaming tools, Twitch actually already has this integration, but nobody's using it. Nobody's pulling it into the game and taking the JSON files and actually creating these new levels. And as a team, that's one of the things that we pride ourselves in. Some of us have spent 30 plus years in the industry, building games, really bringing about new, game-changing, new ways to play. Games like Star Wars Force Unleashed, The Old Republic, NBA Jam, and all the way back to the first MMO, Ultima Online. And so our timeline, we're actually looking to have a first playable demo done this January. So if you are interested in doing that, there's a little QR code on the next slide. But then we'll be building this in a very modular fashion, finding the fun first, because that's the most critical thing in this, and that's the most critical thing for gamers. That'll keep them coming back, and that will drive new content. So thank you for your time, and if you want to get a hold of us, definitely see us, and we'll get your hands on the demo. Thank you.